Well, from the total, the topic being total responsibility, right? Like, and what does that mean? And I'm inspired to, I have my own creation in every realm of my life that's inspiring to me, that represents an infinite creation, like something we've never seen before. And it's being flowed from this place of total responsibility, which is actually the only way to create any of these things that I'm wanting to create, right? So in the financial money realm, there's something I'm creating there. In the man-woman relating realm, there's something I'm creating there. And so that was what I was talking about. It's like in body, too, my
Mm.
version of that, limitless body, boundless body, Oren
Mm.
calls it, Mr. Harris.
Yeah, have you
Um,
gotten thicker?
do I look a little bit
You look a
bigger,
little, yeah, in a
chubbier?
good,
Oh, in a good way.
muscular, your
I mean,
shoulders
I've been
look broader.
working out a couple times a month. A couple times a year.
And your
So,
triceps are just forming
just
and,
bulging.
yeah.
Right.
So, okay,
Yes.
continue. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. So within this, I mean, this is what's in my flow right now because I just got back from. I met in 20 minutes. I probably met like 6 women, and they were all amazing. So it's so much fun for me. But the reason I'm so active in it right now is because looking at it from a total responsibility perspective, the reality that I want to create with women and in relationships with women is the best way I can describe it is limitless, but in Rahul with Rahul's flavor, which is like lots of beautiful women that I'm with sexually and relationship wise, like just pure love across the board.
Mm-hmm.
They all know about it, so it's crystal clear. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's beyond even the collective limitations that I feel people have within all constructs that I've ever
Right.
seen of a
Because
relationship.
I literally just felt every man and woman's heart go, "Ugh,"
Right.
as you
Right.
said that.
Right.
And even my mind wanted to make something of it, but I think because of my time with you and how every time I'm interacting with you, I myself am opening up to new levels of freedom in my being. My body didn't react too much, but I could actually feel when you said that, like, you know,
Hmm.
how other people might receive what you just said.
Right. Yeah, because for me, I've always been a guy that's, I love women. I think you're all beautiful physically and energetically and just in a connection sense. Like there's nothing more, I view it as play, actually. And it's something that I became even more aware of recently because Oren, when I was working with him, he was like, yeah, man, like more play is queued up for you. And I was like, yeah, well, something, what do you love to do most? And I was like, I love flirting with women and connecting with them. Like, if I'm to be completely honest, I would probably talk to every woman I see on the street, right? Like nonstop, like just, and so that's my reality now. But it's so much fun to me, and so I have this tremendous amount of like energy, just like love energy, call it that. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also sexual energy, which I feel like a lot of us have darkness on to a certain degree, or we have a time release on how we show up with it. Like we're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I know this person, and now I can be that way because it's safe. And so
Right.
what I've been doing recently, I feel completely like I didn't even realize this until Oren and I reflected on it, but I was like, is it getting too dark or is it good? Can you still see
No,
me?
yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so I was reflecting on this. I was like, it is absolutely normal for me to walk down the street, meet a woman, and go on a date with her the same day and have an amazing night with her. Like, I've done that multiple times already in the last couple of weeks, right? So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's not a, and then I was like, wait, I guess most guys would be like, what the fuck? How is that even possible? Like, if you were to see me, you'd be like, do you know, like, does he know that woman? Anyways, so I've worked my way through these different levels of receiving myself, which is how I see it, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
from this total responsibility perspective of everything in my reality being a reflection of me and my alignment, right? If I feel uncomfortable when I'm approaching a woman, for example, to have an interaction with, then of course that's what's going to be reflected back to me in some way, shape, or form. She won't be totally open. She'll be uncomfortable. She'll be like this is awkward, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone who doesn't have a total responsibility perspective might be like, oh, well, this is where she's at. This is what, this is how she reacts to men in these situations or whatever. She's got her own stuff. Me, I look at that and I just look at it as a total reflection and it's irrelevant to me. I'm like, oh, well, if I'm feeling fantastic, I will only synchronize with those women who actually also
Mm-hmm.
feel that way.
So true.
And And even if they do have something that comes up for them and I don't pay attention to it because it's not relevant to my truth, they actually shift in front of my eyes. And I've seen it happen so many times, right?
Mm.
So that's the response. It's like everything is one. It's my reality is a reflection. So I've moved through these iterations of like what's acceptable. So I'm like, I stop women on the streets when they're walking. I talk to women when they're with men. I talk to women when with their father. I talk to women when they're with their mother. It doesn't matter to me. And I'm like, what is it just is, but it's our judgment of social norms that makes us contract. Go ahead, you
Yeah.
something?
Well, and I just, for some reason, it almost could bring a tear to my eye because I can also, within this conversation already, feel how men have been closed off from being able to express their appreciation and find enjoyment. Like for you to actually hear you out loud say, I love flirting with women and feel good about it, and there is absolutely no guilt or shame, is like, wow, it brings up emotions for me because I think, you know, and this is something that I've been bringing a lot of attention to within myself and with other women, just walking down the street and really opening our hearts to allowing men to appreciate us as women, our beauty. And then I see the other side of that where some people might say, well, you know, women aren't objects and, you know, men, the whole judgment aspect of it, but that's exactly what you're saying. When you're aligned and you're feeling fantastic about your joys
Desire, flow, right?
yeah,
My
then,
desire, my appreciation, my, yeah, right.
Then, yeah, the women that you're going to attract will reflect that.
They'll feel it too because it's pure. It's pure. So it's like, it's almost like a miracle zone, right? Because if, let's just say there's a woman walking down the street, and from this total responsibility perspective, let's just say that I wasn't in that place and I was walking down the street and I saw this woman and I could feel where she was at, right? I could feel that she was having an okay day, wasn't too good, didn't really want to be approached, but there was maybe a slight opening. Like, I'm this sensitive that I can feel that stuff and even translate it, right? So I'm like, okay, this is where this woman is at. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go approach her and make her day, let's just say, right? But if I'm paying attention to all those things and I make it solid, which is like, oh, this is the way it is, I'll walk up to her, I'll have an interaction with her, and that will be my reality. She'll feel closed off to a certain degree. She'll be having an okay day. There'll be a little window. Perhaps I can open her and we might have a good time after that. What I'm saying is, so that's one reality, right? Another reality is you don't even talk to the girl because you're like, oh, she doesn't look approachable, right? So that's one. The next is like, I feel an opening. I can go talk to her, make her day. And then the next level would be, let's just say that outside of where she's even at, there's a truth moving through me that has nothing to do with where she's at all. Like, that just is like, oh, I desire to go speak to her. And I don't even pay attention to the fact that she's feeling the way she is because me paying attention to it actually makes it solid.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, well, that doesn't have any relevance. The only thing is that I feel love moving through me and I want to go talk to that woman. And so when I go talk to her, she can completely be shipped in an instant instead of me having to open her because I'm not paying attention to her closure. Because I don't co-create that with her. I actually co-create a space where she can show up infinitely, like show up as a different being entirely. When we meet someone of the opposite sex or someone that we are, if we're gay, whatever, someone that we're attracted to, right? And we have this time release unfoldment before we give ourselves permission to be a certain way, because that's what creates this space of safety for us to like be sexual or to be full on, right? So something I've been experimenting with, like I told you, I feel totally comfortable walking up to women, being flirty, being like, but I can feel, and it's required me ejecting outside of the conversation, like out of anybody's perspective on it, like just knowing in the depth of my being what is true for me and loving it. So I've been feeling into this the depth of my desire, like sexual desire for the beings that for women I'm crossing paths with, let's just say, or interacting with. And it's been interesting because my practice now is, can I show up as that full on from the second I talk to a woman, like from the second I meet her, with like, and I've been like, for me, it's been quite the practice. I'm like, there's so much here, and I can even feel myself be like, this is too much for anyone to handle, right? And like, but it's cool because as I've been receiving it more and loving it more and letting it move through me more, the reflections that are showing up are more like, yeah, like, and like things are becoming like I can feel like very close in my reality, like the reality of like meeting a woman on the street in 2 minutes, be back at my place, be making love. Not even saying, I can feel that reality here right now. And for me, I mean, I'd love that because if that's true for me, I'd love it. And second of all, because I'm inspired by the level of love that's in that, even that manifestation. The
Mm-hmm.
confirmation of alignment that is there in that level of alignment. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, like how, and I'm bringing this up for everybody listening because it's like, I want to say
Because
that
everyone's
whatever,
going,
what the
oh,
fuck,
he
right?
just
Like,
said that.
I've heard of people doing it at night, like with drinks. I haven't
Right.
really, right, but
Yeah,
like in the
so
way that
what's right?
I'm talking about, like during the day, like full
Yes.
on, all of you showing up and being like in love, like all of it,
Yes.
right? So I can feel that level of frequency, that level of sexual, like the rest of my frequency feels integrated, but this part stands out to me as like it's still coming into integration. But
Hmm.
like I said, I'm already seeing the reflections, and I'm sharing this because whatever sexual desire you feel, it just is, and it's beautiful, and it's pure, and it's a gift in the reality where you receive it that way. Like, if you think that there's something wrong with it, or you think that it's too much, that will always be the reflection that you get, right? It's a self-validating loop. So if
Hmm.
I walk up to a woman and I'm like, this is too much, and I've gotten that, like, there have been two really gorgeous women that I was like, oh my God, you're gorgeous, where I was just stifled because there was so much of that energy moving through me that I felt like it was too much, and that was the reflection I got. They were kind of like, but the cool thing is that I had the awareness too that they were wanting the me that could fully express that, and the me that could fully
Mm.
express that to them would be the them that would be like, oh my God, yes, you're delicious. Let's go now. Like, don't even say anything to me. Take me, which is like a miracle for most men, anybody listening, right? They'd be like, how the fuck is that even possible? I know it's possible. So, anyways, another little total responsibility alchemy zone kind of, call it the alchemy zone because even those beings in their dominant normal state probably don't operate that way. But if the space is there and the love is there for that to exist, they could show up that way. And that's how you can always receive everything you're wanting, even if no one else on the planet even recognizes that it's possible. Because you become the space through which a miracle can be created. You literally walk around as a miracle worker, like Jesus did. That's how I feel within this realm.
Well, I mean,
think
yeah,
about the
I
beauty.
mean, from what
Think about
I
the
under,
beauty.
go ahead. What?
Think about that. Like, just if you could sit with it and receive the beauty of that experience, Andrea. A guy walking up to you, and he's in such a high state of love and so pure that you're just like, I want to be with you now, and I'm gonna let myself have that for myself. Like, just think about like how ridiculous would that, how awesome would that have to
I
be?
mean, everything inside of my body is going right now.
Right. Yeah, it's
Um,
intense.
yeah, I mean, if I were, I mean, I feel like I literally will have to take minutes to let that really sink in
Hmm.
because my where I'm at with all of that,
Yeah.
it's been a minute.
You're not alone. You're not alone either. Like, I would say that would stretch probably like 99.5% of women on the planet. Like, maybe even more at the level at which I'm talking about, because it's just so out there relatively.
But
There
I
has,
feel it. I've actually recently sort of had an experience, not like physical, but
mhm,
that feeling where if it had been a physical manifestation, if he showed up in that way, I would have just definitely felt myself just
right.
surrender to that, and it felt so pure. And I'm sensitive to that because I have no desire in any way to just get drunk, go home, eat whatever like that, or even just not being drunk and just going to bed with a guy because he's there and he's willing to
Mm,
go there with me. Like, I get where you're saying that from. It is from that place of love, like literally making love before you get into the bedroom,
right.
like where you're already experiencing that
Right. Right.
vibration of just miracles happening, and then by the
Right.
time you get to the bedroom, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. So I do feel that.
Yeah.
um I mean, it feels like that would be an absolute miracle for sure. I
Hmm.
can definitely say that. It would be a miracle for a guy to be able to walk up to me at this point and have that level of openness with me and purity within his desire to match me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a miracle.
Yeah. That's what I'm
But and
working
I
on.
think what I'm loving so much about this conversation more than anything is your, like I said in the beginning, just your absolute openness and clarity around your desires with
Mm.
zero thread of guilt, shame, and I think it's so important, especially within this conversation, and women will have their own kind of processes around it, I can imagine.
Right. Right.
But for a man to just be able to sit here and witness this man who is in every way that I have ever experienced you and have witnessed you and I mean, we've been so close. Um, and watching the way you go through your life with such integrity that for you to be able to express that desire
Mm.
and for other men to be able to witness that and go, just be able to say that
Mm.
and to actually go, wow, this is possible, and it's possible for another woman on the other side to
Mm.
support that and believe and like want that desire for him, like
Yeah, yeah, that's it is amazing.
it's pretty cool.
That in
And
and of itself is quite the demonstration for sure.
it really is. And I mean, when I walk down the street and I feel men, like I can just feel into them and I can feel everything inside of them. Like
Mm.
even just saying it right now, that just wants to like and it's gonna look different for every man, but I do with most men as I'm walking down the street, I can feel something that's blocked, almost like
Yes.
they're even afraid to look at me, you
Right.
know? And as
Mm.
I just keep open, I mean, I will make it a practice, like if I'm talking to a man, where I stand like heart open with him
Mm.
and making it okay, if that's what's calling for me, like it's okay, you can please appreciate me,
Mm.
please
Right.
adore me, please love my booty, like please,
Yeah,
if
that's
that's what's wanting to come through you and you want to appreciate that, please,
mm.
you know
Yes.
and I feel like it's such a key part in men's ability to create in the world too.
Mm.
you
Oh, for
know,
sure.
for women that want to see their men making more money or being more creative and being more inspired, it's like a huge part of that is having that level of expression, especially I believe in relationship to women.
Yes. Yeah, it purifies sexual energy to run it through that, like through love in that context. And then of course it pours over into all areas of one's life. Otherwise it's stifled and it's locked away and it consumes space and it takes energy to maintain the resistance, right? Like when they see a beautiful, like they don't even look at a beautiful woman because there's so much resistance there. Like that eats
Yes.
up life force energy. And
Mhm.
it's unavoidable unless you live in a fucking cave, which also is not the solution either because you have the desire, right? The men. So it's like,
Mhm.
well, how do most men go about their lives when they're always around beautiful women and they're always feeling that, but there's that judgment, and then there's the women that are also reflecting that back to them, like, don't look at me like that, right? It just becomes a
Mhm.
very, very, yeah, there's a lot of potential in bringing that into love, and so that's what I'm
Mhm.
inspired by too. Like that's definitely in my awareness as well.
Now I'm thinking when I'm walking
Right.
down the street and I'm experiencing a man being
Right.
like, I can feel him wanting
Right.
to appreciate me, but he's not. How am I
I
responsible?
would say that you would connect to your own pure desire to experience the men in your life that way, and it would just like where they're at is irrelevant to you.
Yeah.
Like if you don't pay attention, even energetically, like because you're so sensitive, you can feel where they're at.
Right.
But that in the feeling of it and paying attention to it, you actually
It's,
make them that way in your reality. So if you
I
can just
see.
drop that and just be what is true for you, which is I love to experience men as in their bodies full on activated in love, that will be your experience. You will be a miracle worker in that way.
Which to point out too doesn't, and I know I'm bringing this up as a part of my integration into all of this, it's not personal. It's not even necessarily that it has to do with them
Mm,
acknowledging me as Andrea in my physical form, as much as what I know that energy of that expression, like that, what they can tap into
mm,
and being free to appreciate my form
right,
will take. I will never see that 99.9% of them ever again, but
right,
can open up so much for them and for myself as we move
right.
forward.
So it's like you actually, it's a deeper level of receiving of yourself even
Mhm.
because in the reality where you are clear about your desire that way and you're open to receiving it because you're not limiting yourself through the projection onto others, and more of these beings are showing up that way for you, it delights you. So it adds to you too, right? So it's like, I'm just saying, like, this is one could be like, you could walk around and be like, well, there's all these men, I can feel their desire, but it's blocked. And in a way, it's kind of saying, well, I'm not able to get what I want because these men are blocked. That
Mhm.
is not total responsibility. Total responsibility would be like, I'm fully receiving myself, I'm fully activated, I'm wide open, and I'm open to receiving this. And every man in my spaces has the potential to show up that way, and they do. That's the total responsibility perspective where you're like, I am able to get, and you will get what you want. Men will show up and appreciate you full on, and you'll receive the benefits of it, and you won't feel any barrier to you getting what you want in your reality. Then now it doesn't even matter where the men are even where they're even at.
Which is more people showing up in love. And
Love,
like you said,
right,
without the time release, like to be able to just show up, just
right,
heart open, just
right. Imagine the delight. Imagine how amazing that would be to be crossing paths with men, having interactions with them maybe where they're in their highest self, where they're in love, and like it's crystal clear. I can say for myself, like every woman I interact with, it's not like, yo, baby, let's fuck. It's like I have beautiful connections with just across the board. Like life, I can feel like I made lifelong friends.
hmm
But in this zone, I'm so abundant. Like when you're in love, you're so abundant that it's crystal clear to you what the optimal flow is with every being. So it's like your life will overflow with all kinds of amazing business connections, lovers,
totally.
friends, everything.
Totally. And especially when you let go of the attachment part of it, of what it
Right,
needs to look like.
right.
Oh my God, that is a huge reason why Limitless Man is here. And it's really not even Limitless Man necessarily as much as just my relationships with you guys is because we have met in that space. We
Mm-hmm.
do every time meet in that space. Like nothing is solid. Nothing, I mean, we can meet. I mean, I just remember going to dinner with Oren for my birthday, and even though we are there's no label, like there's absolutely no label. And I just remember looking at couples who would have the label of like we're in a relationship and feeling like Oren and I were experiencing so much intimacy and we were so in love and so, I mean, you know what happened that night, like
Mm-hmm.
magic, magic, magic everywhere, miracles everywhere.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with the label or the definition or the control or the
Right.
what it
You were in
needs to
love.
be, or we're just in love.
Right.
And there was this bar across from us and we were just kind of observing. I mean, especially myself, I was just observing, like they're all getting drunk so that they can, like they think they might be wanting that woman or that man or whatever, but really what we're all wanting
To be in love.
is love. Yeah.
To be in love. To be that and to experience that with
Yes.
others. Right.
hmm And this is how we just see this web of just the world truly transforming.
Yeah, no time. Ceases to exist in that zone. And like you can, yeah, have a lifelong friend. Like I was saying, meet a woman, making love physically. Meet a woman, best friends instantaneously. Meet a woman, we
Mhm.
get married in a week, or we're in love. Like, who knows? Anything, like time is irrelevant in that zone because it's such a deep, what I'm saying? Like it's
Me and
beautiful.
you could get married next week.
Right, we could.
We
I
could.
know.
I know you know. So
That's
look
amazing.
out, world. You never know. I might have a ring on my finger next time.
Right?
Aw,
Amazing.
it is amazing.